Hosting a Webex event. Depending on how you log into the event, you may be faced with different options. When you start an event or meeting via browser, there is a menu bar that is normally situated across the top of the event window screen here that will not be present. This menu bar is present when you start an event or meeting via the Webex application, but not via browser. However, most of the options that are available in that menu bar are available in other areas of the event window. In the lower left-hand corner of the window, you will notice a small blue icon. This is the Webex Assistant icon. It allows the meeting host to enable closed captioning and a few other options. Directly next to that blue icon is the actual closed caption visibility icon. Clicking this icon will allow you to see the closed captions as they scroll across the bottom of the screen. If you don't want to see those closed captions on your meeting window, simply do not click the button. The next button across the bottom is the mute unmute button. There's a small drop down arrow to the right of the button. If you click that arrow, it will give you options on changing your microphone inputs, speaker outputs, and all of your line input settings. Also across the bottom, you have your share options, record, and other meeting or event options. At this time, we will be switching to the desktop app to continue reviewing the functionality for hosting an event. Everything that is covered from this point forward would be the same whether you are using the browser to host the event or you're using the Webex desktop app. Joining from the desktop app, you'll see that the event window is almost identical to the browser's event window. As you can see, there is the menu bar across the top that is not present in the browser window with a couple of other icons. Also in the applications event window, I have the background set to dark mode, which is why it looks dark as opposed to the white background you saw in the browser's event window. Beginning across the top of the window here, you see that there's a Webex icon, and it is letting us know that this event has been started in moderated unmute mode. That gives the panelists and the host the ability to mute and unmute all other panelists and attendees. If you click the show menu bar drop down arrow, you will be provided with a menu bar that houses all of the event settings for your Webex event. All of these settings can be found in other locations inside the event window, but this is just a central location to manipulate all the settings in one place. I will briefly go over some of these settings, but it is worth taking some time to explore these on your own, particularly if you use Webex events quite a lot. In the File tab, you'll find settings to send a transcript of the event or meeting to yourself or any email address you so desire. When you send the transcript, an email will go out looking like this with all of the information from the event, the chat records, and Q&A if there are any. You can open chat and Q&A windows, share and save their logs locally or to the cloud, as well as in the event from the File tab. The Edit tab presents whiteboard and annotation options for writing over windows in the event. The Share tab gives you all of your event media sharing options. The same options can be found at the bottom of the screen at the Share button. You'll have options to share your screen, share individual windows, documents, or other media. The View tab gives you many options for adjusting the views of your presentation media or your event window. The Audio and Video tab gives you all of the options for adjusting the audio and video settings of your event. These options can also be found next to the mute and unmute button or the start and stop video button. Both of these buttons have drop down arrows which will take you to settings to adjust the audio and video of your event. The Participants tab allows you to adjust permissions and settings for participants and attendees of the event. From here, you can also send invites to new panelists or reminders to invited panelists regarding the event. Also, in the Participant tab, you can assign communication privileges to both attendees and panelists. You can control who attendees or panelists communicate with, or if they can communicate privately. Here is where you control whether or not attendees or panelists can see other participants in the participant list and how they control or share documents within the event. In the Event tab, you will find all the information and controls for the Webex event. You have controls such as start and stop recording and all of the recorder settings, all event options, all the event settings, your streaming settings, and the event lock will all be found here in the Events tab. In the Help tab, you'll find shortcuts to all help topics, keyboard shortcuts, accessibility settings, and other event health settings for your Webex event. Quickly across the bottom, as mentioned before in the browser event window, you have all of your event window options, mute, unmute, all of your audio options by pressing the down arrow next to mute or unmute. You have your camera start and stop and all of the video options in the down arrow next to that button. Next to the start and stop video button, you have the share button. Just like the share tab, it gives you all the options for sharing media in the event. On the left, you see you can share individual screens, and on the right, you can share individual windows with your event participants. One quick note about sharing media. By default, Webex is set to optimize shared media within the event, but you may go in and choose to optimize for video if you're going to be playing a video for your participants, or you can optimize for audio if you're going to be playing music or some kind of audio for your participants. Next to the share button is the record button. By pressing this button, it'll give you the option to start recording your event. Once you start the recording, a little red recording button will light up at the top of the window, let you know you're recording. You can start, stop, and pause recording and end recording. Next to the recording button is the emojis button. Inside this window are different reactions and emojis that are available for everyone to use in the event. Next to the emojis button is the more options button. It's the button with the 3 small dots. This button has most of the same information the event tab contains. There are more event options here. Here you'll find links to connect to in-room video systems. The controls to lock the event are here. You can copy the event link to paste in emails or DMs to other participants you'd like to invite to the event. Live streaming controls are here. Also, you can live stream directly to Facebook or some other streaming service. And finally, the controls for starting and stopping a practice session are located here. A use case for practice sessions is when you want to allow your attendees to join the event early before the actual start time. Yet you want to be able to discuss the event details with your panelists without your attendees being able to see or hear the conversation. Your attendees would join the event and be presented with this message. They would then just wait here until you dropped out of the practice session and the event would begin. The next button is the exit or the end event button. By pressing this button, you can end the event. Further to the right, you have the participants window button. By clicking this button, you can show or hide the participants window. Next to that, you have the chat window button. Clicking this button will give you access to the chat window so you can chat with different participants. Next to the chat window button, you have the three little dots, which are more options for Q&A, captions and highlights, and notes. Each of these windows are independent and can be opened and closed by clicking the small X in the right corner. To the left of the X, there is a pop-out button. If you click this button, it will pop out the individual windows for chat, QA, or notes, and you can move them around your screen as you see fit. In the panelist window, you can view your panelists and attendees. To view attendees, click the View All link next to attendees. A pop-out window will appear showing you all of your attendees. In this pop-out window, you can search individual attendees. If you have a lot, you can mute and unmute all of the attendees, and you have a refresh button to refresh your list to see who has entered or left as an attendee. If you hover over an attendee's name, you'll be presented with several options to control their attendance. You can make an attendee a panelist by clicking the Make Panelist option. The attendee will then show in the panelist list. If you hover over their name again, right-click, choose Change Role, and make a attendee, the attendee will return to the attendee list. If you click the refresh button, you'll see the attendee again is in the attendee list. You can manipulate any participant of the event in the same manner. Simply hovering over their name, right-clicking, you will be presented with options to manipulate the attendance of the particular participant. The host has the ability to make any panelist a co-host. Simply hover over the panelist's name, right-click, choose Change Role, and choose Make Co-host. Press OK to the pop-out box, and the panelist chosen for the co-host role will be made a co-host. When you go to end a meeting that has a co-host, you will be given an option to simply leave the meeting or event, or to end the meeting or event for all. Your co-host will become the host if you leave the event. Next to the participants window, you have the layout options button. If you click this button, you'll be presented with options to control the layout of your event. An option to be aware of is the Sync My Stage for Everyone option. When this option is enabled, it will sync your stage view to everyone in the event. If you select the Lock Attendee View on Stage Only option, attendees to the event will only see what you present from your stage, seen here in the orange box. They will not see the panelists, they will only see the stage. If you do not choose the Lock Attendee View option, when you present media in the event, attendees will see the stage, the area shown in orange box, but they will also see the panelist boxes across the top of the orange box that you are presenting your media in. Finally, if you click the event info icon at the top of the screen next to moderated unmute mode, you'll find all of the event links, host key, event passwords, and panelist passwords, login information for the event. You can copy this information and paste it in an email or direct message to any participant who may not have the information. This has been hosting a Webex event. I hope it was helpful. Thank you for watching.